good afternoon. Welcome on in to the afternoon edition of From Day One, where the temperature is hot, and hopefully maybe not quite as bad for the folks in court today. Today's court, we will head on down to the land of El Paso for some interesting bond revocation hearings. So, Miss Honorable Judge Rangel, if you'd be so kind.
Time for cause number 2020-3660, State of Texas versus Esteban Gerardo. Announcement of counsel, please.
David Nunez for the state, Your Honor. State is ready.
Ruben Ortiz on behalf of Mr. Gerardo. We're ready, Your Honor.
Very good. Okay, Mr. Gerardo, you're present. Can you talk to me and say, good morning, Judge? How are you?
Good morning, Judge.
There you are, Mr. Gerardo. Nice to see you, sir.
Nice to see you.
Good, sir. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Mr. Ortiz, do you see and recognize Mr. Gerardo as your client and the defendant in this case?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
And Mr. Gerardo, do you see and recognize Mr. Ortiz as your attorney?
Yes.
Let the record reflect that both have identified each other. Okay, this is as to PR summary bond issue, right? Ms. Becky, we have a PR bond issue, I think.
Yes, Judge, and he's on the bottom of page 4 and then goes into page 5.
I can't believe we have 5 pages of PR bond issues. Client got the orientation on 10/7 after being placed back on a PR bond. So this is his second or third time on a PR bond, Mr. Ortiz. Client obtained his Scram mobile unit on 10/8 and is testing 6 times. Alcohol monitoring was checked on 10/13, 10/20, 10/28. Monitoring showed 2 skipped tests on 10/12 at 1 o'clock and 10/24 at 1 p.m. A BRAC reading of .023 on 10/11 at 7 a.m. with no retest, and a BRAC reading of .04 on 10/18.
BRAC reading meaning blood alcohol reading, aka how much alcohol was in the individual's system.
6 a.m. with no retest. Spoke with the client about the issues, and
And the retests are vital because it's supposed to be, if you do come up with anything, you're supposed to retest immediately so that way the machine can realize whether it is a false positive or an actual failure by the client.
he advised he was not aware of the first BRAC reading, but was aware of the second. Client advised he has poor mouth hygiene and was using mouthwash and believes that caused the reading. Advised client that readings of any nature are not allowed, and always you have to retest. Spoke with the client about the 2 skipped. He advised that he had fallen asleep and missed the testing window. In addition, client advised he obtained his own attorney, Mr. Ruben Ortiz. Okay, we have two positive alcohol readings. That's my issue, Mr. Ortiz. Did you know anything about
Your Honor, I'm brand new to this case. I am brand new to this case, Judge. I think I was retained, last week? And this is my first time hearing this. I mean, my client did tell me some of this, but in any event, Judge, I understand what we're dealing with. I will certainly speak to my client. There should be there must not be any drinking going on, period, whatsoever, Your Honor. And I do understand how the machines work, and I know that with respect to the mouthwash issue, I know we'll definitely talk to him about that. You can't be using those products, if you're going to be blending the machine.
That's BS. He didn't use mouthwash. He was drinking. That's BS. He's lying.
Is he BSing me, Judge?
He's BSing all of us. He thinks he can BS all of us. He's not BSing me. He's not BSing you. Mr. Gerardo, that's BS. They tell you at orientation, they tell you when you have the sober link, there's going to be absolutely no mouthwash, no perfumes, no nothing. Specifically, they tell you that. And you knew that. And you're drinking. Do you work, Mr. Gerardo?
Yes, Judge.
Where do you work?
Good.
So you're not working today, or what happened?
Yes, Judge, after I finish this court.
Are you at your house, or are you at a place where you're working? One of the
No,
houses.
I'm in my apartment right now.
Okay.
Ready to go into work, Judge.
Okay. Mr. Castañeda, if I give him 6 days in jail, they're taking that, right? They're just not taking somebody in and out and in and out and in and out, right?
From my knowledge, Judge, it's still consecutive.
Right? So we're still okay if I give him 6 days in jail, 3 days for every positive. That's all I'm going to do, Mr. Hidalgo. That's going to teach you. You need to not drink, you're drinking. You need to not drink and you need to not miss tests.
Judge, I will definitely go over the rules with him with respect to your PR bond, Your Honor.
Right.
Especially relating to the machine, Your Honor. I'm very familiar with those rules and how the machines do work.
Right, and I have zero
And all that,
tolerance.
Your Honor.
And you know I have zero tolerance for that. So when you
I understand, Your Honor.
Mr. Gerardo, when do you want to turn yourself in?
Would I be able to do it Monday, Judge?
Yes, sir. I'll let you do it Monday. Monday through, and it's going to be 6 days. They'll let you out whenever the jail says you finish 6 days.
Yes,
I think
Judge.
you need to do weekend better. You're not really working. That's already 2 days. But you want to take up.
I work Saturdays and I gotta pay the rent on Monday, Judge. So I could. It's up to you, though, Judge.
No. I don't. You know, I'm already making your life miserable. I don't want to make it more miserable, right? I'll try to accommodate as much as I think I want to tolerate and accommodate the schedule.
We definitely appreciate that very much, Your Honor.
Absolutely. So you want to turn yourself in about 3 o'clock on Monday, Mr.
Yes, Judge.
Gerardo?
Yes, Judge.
Monday. What's the date on Monday, Mr. Castañeda?
November 2nd.
November 2nd, Monday, until for 6 days later, at 3 o'clock, 3 p.m. Okay, Mr. Gerardo, and this is going to teach you. I have a zero tolerance for people missing. I have a zero tolerance for positives. Okay, it better not happen again, or else you're going to stay in jail until we finally finish your case, whatever that is. Okay.
Yes, Judge.
All right, we've got Villanueva, 2020, 4363, 2020, 2363, the state of Texas versus Rafael Villanueva. And ask on the council, please.
David Nunez for the state, Your Honor. State is ready.
For the defense, we're ready, Your Honor, and I'm covering for Mr. Castañon, and I waive my client's presence, Judge.
Thank you. Mr. Castañon on vacation or what, Mr. Vasquez?
No, Judge, he's sick.
Oh, no.
Mr. Villanueva's online. Mr. Vasquez.
I'm asking you to unmute, Mr. Villanueva.
Oh, okay, there. I unmute.
Okay, good, sir. Mr. Villanueva, can you put your audio on?
I don't have audio.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I'm sorry. Can you put your vid?
I'm not sure how to do that. I was thought that the video was on.
No.
I'm not sure.
It's not. It's not, sir. Do you recognize his voice, Mister?
No, Judge, I'm
You
taking
don't?
all.
It's covered.
Yeah, full cover, but I haven't met him. I haven't discussed anything with him, Judge. I'm not even sure if he's met Mr. Castañon, Judge.
Have you met Mr. Castañon, sir?
Are you asking me?
Mr. Villanueva. Yes, sir.
Yes. I have spoken with Mr. Castañon. A couple of months ago, I informed him that I would not be needing. Oh, here it is. It's asking me to start my video.
Okay, do it. Mr. Villanueva, can you unmute?
Okay, I have put it on unmute now.
Now, can
you hear me?
Can you start your video? I'm
There
asking.
it is. Start video.
There it is. Perfect. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Okay. Now, you don't recognize Mr. Vasquez, right?
No, I was informed by Mr. Castañon yesterday that he would be filling in because Mr. Castañon is sick or out this week.
Okay. What is your date of birth, Mr. Villanueva?
November 24th of 1984.
Okay, let the record reflect that the birthday matches what's on the docket, what's in the system, so I think that's the only means of identifying Mr. Villanueva at this point. Okay.
Yeah, I agree, Judge. It's correct.
Okay. Now we have a PR bond issue. What page is this PR bond?
Oh, let me check, Judge. Oh, he's on the first page, Judge, the second one.
Okay. I can't believe I missed it on the
Yeah, page 1, Judge.
I didn't go all the Okay. Mr. Villanueva was placed on a PR bond on 7/7. He's not on my PR bond, is he, Mr.
He is not, Judge.
Okay. I'm going to put you on my new and improved. Mr. Villanueva, no bars, no drugs, no alcohol, no arrest, no offenses against the state of Texas or any other state. You cannot leave El Paso County unless and until you have my permission. You are going to have a 9 to 6 a.m. curfew. You're going to report 1 time a month to your PR bond officer. You're going to report 2 times monthly, 24 hours notice for a UA. You're going to stay away. Who's the complaining witness in the criminal mischief? Mr. Nunez, do we know?
Ryan Aranda, Your Honor, with the
You're going
one.
to stay no contact with Ryan Aranda?
Yes, Your Honor.
No, Brian. That's Brian, not Ryan.
Oh, okay.
Brian.
Okay. No, you can't. You have to stay away from Brian Aranda. Okay?
And Judge, it also has, and no, and not to go.
General.
Huh?
And you can't go within 200 feet of Dollar General.
Right.
That's
And
another.
7-Elevens.
Okay. And there's nothing in here that says 77s, but no 7-Elevens either. Okay. Now, I'm sorry, sir?
Oh, the 7-Elevens was the most recent one from a couple weeks ago. That was the charge for the criminal trespassing.
See, that's what's a little bit offensive, is they put him on another PR bond.
I do respect the judge in that case because she made a call on that based on the details of that particular arrest report. It was so.
Is he on a PR bond on? Is he on a PR? He's on a PR bond on both cases, right? The one I called, and then the criminal trespass, Mr. Castañeda.
Is that a misdemeanor, Judge?
I think it is, right, Mr. Nunez?
Yes, Your Honor.
Criminal trespass is a misdemeanor, right? Okay, so I can only put him on my PR bond on the criminal mischief. Okay. I want to know, what are the circumstances regarding the criminal mischief, our felony?
Sure, Your Honor. Before I get to that, I just wanted to let you know also there's a resisting arrest case also pending that happened prior to the criminal trespass after our case. In regards to our case, what happens is the police report alleges that the defendant basically walked into the Dollar General, took a spray can out of the Dollar General, and I guess as the CW was trying to say, hey, don't steal that, he ended up spray painting the car with the report says, quote, stuck
I
stick.
pulled the car first, then I got
Don't say anything.
Mr. Villanueva, nobody's talking to you, sir. You need to be quiet. You're just
Yeah, don't incriminate yourself here, dear.
incriminated yourself.
Just listen. Don't say anything, okay?
I just wanted to fill in that I totaled the car first, then
No, shut up!
Please.
Up!
It's for your own benefit. Don't say anything. Let me
I
explain.
don't want it to be left out. I want it clear for the record, and I don't want anything left out. I totaled the car first, then I went and grabbed the can spray.
Up!
Well,
Judge.
You know, I think he needs to be, he's already been identified. What do you want me to do with Mr. Villanueva? That's what I can do right now, but, okay. Now, okay. I've just been told by my criminal clerk, Sam, that Castañon filed a motion to withdraw, Mr.
Oh. I didn't know, Judge.
I think we know why. I think we know why. So what do you want me to do with that motion to withdraw that's been on file, Mr. Vasquez?
Well, to grant the motion, Judge,
Okay.
and based what just happened for the same situation, I think that's probably the reason. He didn't inform me, but I'm gonna urge the motion on his behalf, Judge.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and allow it. You may submit the order. Tell Mr. Castañon to submit the order, and I will go ahead and allow it. This is the problem that I see with Mr. Villanueva. Is it Villanueva? Yeah. Mr. Villanueva is, I think he has mental issues.
I think so, Judge.
I think he has some mental issues going on, and I think he needs help, and I think he needs to go to EHN.
He's still talking.
They muted him, but he's still talking, guys.
He is? I can't see.
Yeah, and he was trying to, I think, unmute his phone, Judge. He kept pointing to the. See.
Yeah, he's still going. Sit down.
Okay. I'm looking at him. I'm just sad that he asked to withdraw because you guys have a good mental health unit available to you. Lots of resources, Mr. Vasquez, but I mean, you know, I can't make you work with somebody that Mr. Castañon obviously can't work with. And I've seen just a little bit of Mr. Villanueva's behavior. And I want the record to reflect that Mr. Villanueva is gesturing and continues to talk and continues to... Mr. Villanueva, just settle down, sir. Just settle down, please. Please, don't say anything and just settle down. I'm asking you to do that, or else I'm going to have to remove you, sir. And I don't want to remove you. Okay? So just settle down, sir. Okay. Okay, so it makes me sad because you guys have a great mental health unit that you can give him the help that he needs. I think as part of terms and conditions of his PR bond, he's going to go get assessed by EHN. Those are terms and conditions of his PR bond. Talk to me a little bit, Mr. Nunez, about the most recent criminal trespass against 7-Eleven, I think is what was said.
Go ahead and take a look down, Your Honor. I don't remember that one off the top of my head.
It's a misdemeanor.
It's a coronavirus.
Okay, he's putting up some kind of a sign. Does anybody know what that sign is?
He's not making up a sign. Hold up. Oh, fuck. Oh, goddamn.
I'm going to remove him. Okay. Did anybody recognize that sign? No? Nobody recognized it? Okay.
No, Your Honor.
I'm going to go back a few seconds, see if I can recognize it.
You, sir. And I don't want to remove you. Okay? So just settle down, sir.
Just a second, I've zoomed in that part for myself here to take a look.
Okay, so it makes me sad because you guys have a great mental health unit that you can give him the help that he needs. I think as part of terms and conditions of his PR bond, he's going to go get assessed by EHN. Those are terms and conditions of his PR bond. Talk to me a little bit, Mr. Nunez, about the most recent criminal trespass against 7-Eleven, I think is what was said.
Go ahead and take a look at that one, Your Honor. I don't remember that one off the top of my head.
Oh, there we go.
It's a misdemeanor.
What the fuck?
Okay, he's putting up some kind of a sign. Does anybody know what that sign is?
Holy fuck. Yeah, I'd kick him out too, Your Honor.
I'm going to remove him.
That was quite vulgar.
Did anybody recognize that sign? No?
I'll say no, Your Honor, just to make sure he doesn't get arrested.
Okay. Okay. Well, what we're going to do is you're not involved, you're not the attorney anymore. Becky, we need to appoint somebody in this case.
Judge, I show the next attorney is Joseph Beath. Then I have what was public defender, then Joseph Beath, then a lot of public defender, and then the next one is Gregory Anderson.
Mr. Reed, did you see his behavior and all of that?
I didn't notice that. That was strange.
Okay. Okay. You're the next one. You're the next one, sir. Do you want to accept the case?
If the court would like to appoint me, I will take that and try to help with it.
I will if I do want to appoint you, sir, but you have every right, not to take it. And I would understand a no, so you wouldn't hurt my feelings and I wouldn't hold personally, sir. So I'm asking you, you can with all the confidence in the world that I'm not gonna hold it against you, sir. And I
Sure. Well, I'll take the challenge, and I know it's going to be kind of a special needs case, so we'll appreciate it that way.
Let the record reflect now that I have appointed Mr. Veith, and Mr. Veith is participating. I think we need to know the facts. Yes, you may, Mr. Vasquez. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Mr. Nunez, the facts of the 7-Eleven case?
Yes, Your Honor. So, according to the witness, who I'm assuming is the 7-Eleven clerk, stated that the defendant was outside the parking lot. He was harassing the customers as they were entering. He then later entered the restroom and stayed in there for 10 minutes, approximately 10 minutes. And as the officers were called, they got there, knocked on the restroom door, telling him to come out. He did come out eventually. They criminally trespassed him from the 7-Eleven and was repeatedly warned to leave, and he refused.
Okay. Yeah, I think he's going around causing havoc with all these little small grocery stores. He needs to get connected with EHN immediately. Okay, Mr. Reed, some way, somehow, please. That's going to be part of terms and conditions of his PR bond.
Okay.
He's going to stay away from the 7-Eleven as well. I think we finished with the PR bond, right, Mr. Castañeda?
Yes, Judge.
Thank you. Okay. Okay. So this is going to be a challenge for you, sir. I was going to, and I don't know if I should or not. He's kind of a danger out there. I can revoke his PR bond because his old PR bond said commit no new offenses, and he got arrested for criminal trespass, a misdemeanor. So I can arrest Mr. Nunez. What are you thinking, Mr. B?
I think so, Your Honor, and I need to touch base on that a little bit on the resisting case. He was basically, the allegation says he's on a hammock on YISD property, East Independent School District property, and basically the school officer's like, hey, you need to leave, and he wouldn't get down off of the hammock, and the officers had to restrain him and basically get him out of there. That's where the resisting happened.
He's just going around causing havoc.
Well, the only thing I would maybe just suggest, or my thought would be, maybe have him go through EHN, see if his medication is correct, get him assessed, and then see how he does. And if the problem persists, then maybe go a different route if the court has no other options. It's just one thought.
This is probably my thought, because I think this gentleman is uncontrollable. I think you're not going to get him to an EHN appointment. So I think we need to have him arrested, stabilize him with meds, and then release him.
I understand that. I mean, that's another method of making sure that he has his medicine, he's being treated properly.
I think that's the only way. We have 3 already offenses, right?
Sure.
Criminal mischief, criminal trespass, and resisting, and there he is. Okay. So, let's go ahead and issue out a bench warrant. I'm going to issue out a bench warrant. Miss Becky, put that on the docket. A bench warrant. His PR bond is going to be revoked.
Judge,
Okay.
just to make clear, so disregard the.
I think so. I think so at this time. I think there's too much there to ignore now. Okay. Bench warrant, please.
All right, and that concludes that session in Judge Rangel's court. See if we have just a little more to stretch this out, just a few. And let's handle a hyper duty case of the afternoon.
Order. All rise. Last case number 343 on the calendar in the matter of Daly versus Rizzo.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
Miss Daly, you're a writer, and the defendant runs a newspaper. And it is your claim that you did several writing assignments for him. You turned them into him, and you were not paid.
Right.
Mr. Rizzo has many defenses, one of which is that he had to do a lot of rewriting on your articles, editing before he printed them. He says the clients for whom one of the articles was written was dissatisfied with the article and never paid him. So then why should he pay you? So I have a few questions, and then I'm going to dispose of this case very quickly. You run a local newspaper?
It's a magazine, ma'am.
Do you have a copy of the magazine?
I have the online version.
I don't want to look online. You sell a magazine?
Correct.
What's the name of it?
Coastal Connecticut Magazine.
Do you employ independent writers, or do you employ a staff of writers?
1099 freelance writers.
How many do you employ?
Roughly 25 freelance writers.
How long has the magazine been in existence?
2013.
When in 2013?
I believe it was April.
How many times has Miss Daly authored articles for you?
A high frequency. Sherry came to us highly recommended.
Just a second. As far back as 2013?
Yes.
Yes.
And has she been paid for the articles that she's written for you in the past?
Yes.
Is that all correct?
Yes.
Prior to these series of articles, approximately how many articles had you written for Mr. Riz's magazine and been paid for? Give me a number. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25?
At least 20, 30.
Between 20 and 30. And you have gotten paid?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you paid by the word?
I am now, yes. At first,
Were you paid in 2014 by the word?
No, we were paid by project, I believe, back then.
Paid by project?
Yeah, if I get an assignment, they would say, okay, I'm going to pay you $1,500 for that assignment.
And in 2015, were you paid by word or assignment?
Honestly, ma'am,
Do you know?
By word.
How much per word?
$1, I think it was beginning, and then 50 cents.
20 cents per word.
Yeah, that sounds more like it. Doesn't sound like $1 a word.
It was not 20 cents a word. I actually
Well, I'd like to see. Does anybody have proof of what it was? I mean,
Yeah, I do.
If you own a magazine and you're in business and you're 1099 people, you have to have what it is. What does that say?
That says 50 cents a word plus 53 cents a mile.
May I see it, please?
Yes.
I sent the piece on Angie's Kitchen to Owen yesterday, and I'm working on Weekend Kitchen. This is from you to him?
Yes.
And you said I would like to invoice Wayfarer at 50 cents a word plus 53 cents a mile. I hope that's okay. I'm happy to be part of the team. Does he answer that?
Yes, I think if on the next page it might say, I'm glad you're part of the team.
Yes, that was my correspondence back to Sherry. I was very happy for her to be part of this team.
Yeah. Is that page on there? I'm happy to be part of the
What's your
team.
number? Could you call me?
Your Honor, the reference to the increase to 50 cents per word was a request by Miss Sherry Daly to continue the current 8 assignments that we were.
I don't know what it is, but you got to be a little more businesslike if you want to run a business, sir. If she says to you, from now on, I would like to invoice you at 50 cents a word plus 53 cents a mile. Not $1 a word, but 50 cents a word, which means that it was lower before that. I hope that's okay. I'm happy to be part of the team. And you write back, glad you're part of the team, but don't confirm anything else. That's not a reasonable practice. That might lead her to believe that you are okaying her request to up her rate to 50 cents a word and 53 cents a mile. Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Yes,
that's not a contract.
Correct.
Are you listening to me, Miss Daly? It's not a contract.
I understand.
Okay, good. So now you've worked for him before in this very loosey-goosey operation that, quite frankly, I like things a little more businesslike in my dealings, and so should writers. However, she had a history with you, and I don't know what the history was. How much a word were you being paid before you wanted to increase it to 50 cents a word?
I don't ever remember agreeing to 20 cents a word.
Okay, so we don't know. The answer is you don't know, and he doesn't know, and he doesn't have any proof, and you don't have any proof, so all I know is I'm getting a very big zhuzh, and it's almost lunchtime. How many articles did you write for him for which you were not paid, and when did you write those articles?
8.
For which you were not paid?
Yes.
Starting when? When was the first article?
First article that I didn't get paid for.
February.
There you go.
February. And when did you submit the next article?
Hold on. The assignment was made in February. The article was provided to me in June.
Is that correct?
I don't believe so.
Well, you're the plaintiff. This is your case. He says you were given an assignment in February, and the assignment was about...
Give me the topic, please.
This is our...
No. We're not going to play this game. He's not going to help you. If you don't have any witnesses, you're on your own. It's your case. You have to present your case. First article was in February. What was it about? What was the assignment? And when did you turn it in?
Sherry has a very strong woman's voice, and I assigned her for a series of local shopping features.
Very, very carefully. You and Sherry are going to go outside and see if you can resolve this, because I'm not going to allow you to present Sherry's case. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
We're done here for the time being. Thank you.
All right, sir, excuse this case may be recalled.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
that tree, which is in some respects unhealthy to begin with,
Still alive. It's not dead or dying. Still alive.
what part of I'm sorry and then you keep talking don't you get?
in a case recall from earlier today, writer Sherry Daly says, online magazine owner Jordan Rizzo owes for completed writing assignments.
Judges to recall case 343 in the matter of Daly versus Rizza. Remind parties you're still under oath.
Mr. Rizza, before I ask you whether or not you and Miss Daly have come to a resolution, I just have a couple of other questions to ask you. You did, in fact, use, at least in part, each of the articles that the plaintiff wrote for you.
Yes.
And whether or not you were paid by the person who commissioned those articles, whatever vendor they were, the store or whatever who lives in your community, whether they paid you or not, you had an agreement with her to pay her so much a word for the article she wrote.
Yes.
And you didn't pay her for these 8 articles.
Yes.
You did not pay her. Okay? And have you reached an agreement with her on how much you owe her?
Yes, we have.
How much?
$1,700.
Is that correct?
The total was $1,764.48, and I will be happy to take $1,700.
Okay. When was the last time you wrote for Mr. Rizza?
Probably May.
Is that one of the articles that is in question in this lawsuit?
Yes, ma'am.
And you have not written for him since?
No.
Do you intend to?
No.
Okay, good. Judgment for the plaintiff on consent in the amount of $1,700. We're finished. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She wrote certain pieces that were presented back to me as infactual
He didn't pay me.
and incorrect by my clients.
I kept thinking he would.
We edited those pieces to salvage client relationships.
And then finally I realized he was never going to pay me, and I quit writing for him.
Throughout the community, but unfortunately I did not get paid from my clients.
I'll be writing, but not for him.
Unfortunately, she will no longer be writing for coastalconnecticut.com.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Fiorino versus Berg, step forward.
Benny Fiorino is suing his neighbor, Harold Berg, for his tree crashing through a fence and a gazebo.
Mr. Fiorino, you have a property, and your immediate next-door neighbor, the owner of that property, is the defendant. Defendant does not live there. He rents to someone else. Is that right?
That is correct, Your Honor.
How long have you rented that property next door to where Mr. Fiorino lives?
It's been about four years.
And it's a private dwelling?
Yes.
Have you ever had conversations with Mr. Fiorino about the property?
Never.
Prior to this incident?
Never.
When was the last time you inspected the property?
9 months ago.
How large a piece of property is it?
It's 1.5 acres.
And some of it has trees?
Yes.
And there are trees that separate, that are on the property line between your property and Mr. Fiorino's property?
Yes.
And one of the trees that's on your property fell over and, according to Mr. Fiorino, damaged not only his fence, but a gazebo. That happened on what date, sir?
That happened the night of December the 3rd through the 4th of 2016, Your Honor.
What happened between December of 2016 and now? Where have you been?
I have been trying to sort this matter out with numerous texts and conversations. It's been a long, drawn-out process, which I finally got tired of it when I determined that they were not going to compensate for the damages, so I went ahead and filed a small claims court lawsuit against them.
When did you do that?
In November of this past year, 2017.
Do you have a picture of the damage and you have a picture of the tree line?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
May I see it, please? Who paid to clean up the mess of the tree?
I did, Your Honor.
seen the photograph, sir?
No, I have not.
Hand this over to me, please. Now you've seen them.
Yeah, I've seen it.
So the tree was on your property.
Yes.
It fell onto his property.
Yes.
Damaged his fence clearly and
Yes.
damaged the gazebo. Now you explain to me why you're not responsible.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
This fella here wouldn't let the tree trimmer onto his property. And I have a witness.
That's a lie.
I've got a
That's not a
witness
lie.
right here.
Not a lie at all.
Put her outside.
Now listen, come on.
Benny Fiorino says neighbor Harold Baird owes for property damage caused by one of his trees.
Now you explain to me why you're not responsible.
Well, he had a tree trimmer trim the tree to his satisfaction. The tree trimmer came over to me when I just happened to be in that yard.
You can't tell me what a tree trimmer said to you, sir. Tell me what your defense is.
My defense is that he sought permission from me to trim the tree. I gave it to him. He trimmed the tree. Then, when an act of God happens, the storm came. There's these wind storms, and it happened. So I was very courteous to him when he called me. The reason I'm familiar with this, a year ago, another property I have in Norco had wind come, and my neighbor's tree fell down on my electric line and ripped it out of the box. So I had to replace the new electric panel, and I was told it's an act of God. I couldn't collect from the neighbor. So for him, I was
Just a second. You can't tell me what you were told because that's hearsay. And I don't know who told it to you, and I don't have that person here. And if you have a tree that's dead or dying on your property, and as a result of wind, that tree, which is in some respects unhealthy to begin with.
Still alive. I'm sorry. It's not dead or dying. It's still alive.
What part of I'm sorry and then you keep talking don't you get? Somebody has to pay for the damage to his property. That would be you, because if you are an owner of rental property and when you go and inspect the property, what you're supposed to do is look at the trees and say, is this tree healthy? If it's not healthy, if it needs trimming because it's overgrown to my neighbor's property, then I should trim it. I should trim it, not he asks you permission. If he can trim your tree, you, as the owner of the property, have a responsibility to maintain it. And it may be that as a result of this tree's weakened condition, as a result of a windstorm, it fell over. As far as I'm concerned, that's your responsibility to fix it.
Well, that's what I was leading into. I was taking responsibility for it, knowing.
Not knowing. So if you were taking responsibility for it, what's the problem?
The problem is that if the tree was trimmed, the tree was not dead or dying. It was an act of God. Further, when the fella called me, he tried to make a bigger deal out of it than it really was.
I just want to see the cost for cleanup, which you should have paid immediately. The fence was clearly damaged and had to be replaced in sections, which you clearly should have paid for. If he has a reasonable estimate, I assume you had the fence fixed?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
And the gazebo, which doesn't look like a very sturdy structure, but at least it was standing. It still looks like it's standing.
That's
what
right.
was the damage to the gazebo?
The fascia on the north side of it, of the gazebo, it's the you'll see on the picture, there's a part of it hanging down, and the beam that holds it, they were both damaged.
That's not a big deal. Can I see the bills that you have?
Yes, Your Honor.
Trust me, Your Honor, it was a big deal on the phone with him. That's the kind of rigmarole we went through.
It is a big, I take pride in my ownership.
Well, first, the cleanup and the removal of the tree was $425. That was paid. That's clearly your responsibility.
We do have our own bills. We did pay to remove the tree. We paid to fix the fence. We have the bills. We fixed the fence. We have the before photos like you saw he has. Then we have them after we repaired it and we paid for it.
Oh, I'd like to see that.
Okay.
And I'd like to see your receipt for removal of the tree.
Those are with the storm, and these are after we paid to repair it with our.
Your Honor, I also.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Close caption.
You have a receipt for the removal of the tree.
Absolutely.
I'd like to see that.
It's there in the evidence.
No, sir. Gonzalez, according to this invoice, was January 29th, 2017. He had the tree removed on December 5th, 2016. So I don't know what you removed. You may have removed what was on your side of the fence, but what he removed was the next day, the stuff that was in his backyard. Do you understand what I'm saying? Your invoice is dated January 29th, almost 2 months after this incident. His invoice is dated the day after the tree fell in his backyard.
I'm telling you that I spoke to him on the phone and nothing had been done. He first contacted my property manager, who is also my sister. And he went...
I don't care.
But
I don't care. What he did was he had the tree removed from his backyard.
That's not what happened. We spoke on the phone. I told him I would remove the tree. So when I sent the tree trimmer over to remove the tree, he wouldn't let him onto his property. This fella here wouldn't let the tree trimmer onto his property. And I have a witness. I've got a witness right here.
That's a lie, and you know.
I've got a witness right here.
Not a lie at all.
And I'd like to tell you, Judge, some of the phone calls, what transpired when I talked to Benny here.
Lots of harassment.
Your Honor, there's been no talking. It's been texts.
Lots of
harassment. Texts. No threats.
You know, listen, come on.
My tree trimmer was out there immediately. He just didn't invoice for a month.
Conveniently.
I'm the one that fixed the fence. I had the fence fixed.
I've got pictures of his repair, Your Honor.
I see it.
That's how his repairman fixed the fence. I told him that was not acceptable repair to me.
Well, it's not. It's not an acceptable repair.
Can I see the photos, Your Honor?
Absolutely. Bird, you may want to give him these. It's not an acceptable repair.
I can tell you, Your Honor, we have supplied photos of the repaired fence, and it doesn't go down like that. This fella here, who made a big deal of the one piece of wood that halfway fell from the storm. Half of it's attached, half of it was on the ground. He turned in a bid for like $1,900 to fix that piece of wood and this.
That's a lie, Your Honor. I can give you a breakdown of all three quotes that don't equal that amount.
He pushed this down to make it look bad.
That's a lie. And you know it.
No, it's not a lie.
Just a second.
You're a liar.
If you want to speak to each other, then you can leave, and I have another case to do. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Do you understand?
I do.
Perfect. You have to pay for the repairs. You have to pay for his repairs. The way he wants to have it fixed, the way it was before. You did not clean up the tree. He cleaned up the tree the next day in his backyard. And if your sister tells you something different, she's not telling you the truth. She's not telling you the truth. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,800, and it's a bargain. We're done.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
The defendant didn't want to deal with me. He wanted his sister to stand up and do his work for him.
We repaired the fence. He was never satisfied. He's always unhappy.
The sister thought it was harassment because I continually texted wanting payment and repair to my property. That's all it was.
Yeah, the minute I stepped on the property, he was very hostile with me, threatened me.
I think Mr. Barge could have spoke with me face to face like a man, and the two of us dealt with it rather than having his sister come to his aid.
I just explained to him I'm the property manager. This is what I do. I keep the owner from getting involved in situations like this.
Be forthright. When you're responsible for something, be responsible.
I hope he feels better. I truly do.
And with that, we will bring this episode to a close. Frauditors, auditors, actually, we're probably going to do a little one-day diversion from Frauditors and Auditors tonight in the evening. And of course, then Art Bell, new episode, I believe we're going to go with Richard Dolan in the overnight. Until then, make sure you do like, share, and subscribe. Be kind to one another and release the Kraken. As we march this afternoon, and every afternoon from day one. Have a great afternoon. We'll see you tonight.